Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the show that takes a whole stack of sources and boils them down, giving you the key insights you need to be genuinely informed. In today's digital world, things like digital trust, cybersecurity, they're not just jargon anymore, are they? They're really the bedrock of almost everything you do online. Think banking, personal data, all of it. The need for secure ways to interact online is just, well, it's exploding. So today we're diving deep into eMudhra Ltd. They're a pretty big name in this crucial field. We'll be unpacking their Q1 FY26 results, looking at their strategic moves. We've got their official filings, the earnings presentation, press releases, the works, our mission, to figure out what these numbers and strategies really mean, not just for eMudhra, but importantly for you as you navigate this digital life. Okay, let's get into it. What were the headline figures from eMudhra's results for the quarter ending June 30th, 2025? What jumped out?
Well, the numbers definitely paint a picture of pretty strong growth. Their total income for Q1 hit 1,506.2 million rupees. That's a jump of 58.5% compared to last year. Pretty substantial. Net profits, or PT as it's often called, also saw a really healthy increase, up 37.5% year-on-year, reaching 250.2 million rupees. And EBITDA, which gives you a good sense of operational profit, that was 380.0 million, up 29.0% year-on-year. Margins look solid too, at 25.2%. Earnings per share, both basic and diluted, showed good improvement as well. Basic EPS was Rs 3.05, that's up 38.6%, and diluted EPS hit Rs 3.00, up 39.4%.
Okay, those are some solid growth numbers.
Yeah.
But, financial reports sometimes show different versions of things. I saw eMudhra also presented adjusted figures. What's that about? What are they adjusting for, and why does it give us maybe a better insight?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Companies do this often. They use adjusted figures to kind of filter out specific items that might be one-offs or maybe not part of the usual day-to-day operations. It helps give a clearer view of the underlying core performance. So for eMudhra in Q1, their adjusted EBITDA came in at 408.4 million rupees. That actually shows even stronger growth, 34.6% year-on-year, and better margins at 27.1%. And the adjusted net profit was 272.9 million rupees. Again, higher growth at 44.6% year-on-year with margins of 18.1%.
But so what were those specific adjustments? What things did they strip out?
The main ones this quarter were, let's see, there was a partner stock buyback in their Indian trust services business. That was about 22.6 million rupees. Then you had ESOP expenses, employee stock option plans amounting to 28.38 million. And finally, a smaller item, notional interest expenses of about 1.85 million. So when you take out these kinds of things, especially non-cash items like ESOPs or one-offs like the buyback, you get a cleaner look at how the core operations are really doing. It suggests the fundamental business strength is perhaps even a bit better than the headline numbers show. And for you, the listener, it just gives a more transparent perspective on their operational efficiency,
Okay, that makes sense. It points to a healthier core business. And it seems like management feels pretty positive, too. The executive chairman, V. Srinivasan, he called it a strong first quarter, driven by robust revenue growth and new client wins across the U.S., Middle East, India, and Asia Pacific. He also mentioned this global momentum and disciplined operations, setting a solid foundation for sustained growth. That confidence, it makes you wonder how they're getting this growth. How spread out is it? Where are they seeing the biggest threat?
Yeah, the diversification is actually quite striking. It's definitely a strategic plus for them. If you look at their enterprise revenue, so business clients, a hefty 64% of that now comes from international markets. Only 36% is from India. And what's really interesting there, I think, is how this international push, especially into places like Europe with stricter rules, lets them bake in higher compliance standards, like GDPR, in everything they offer globally. So for you, this means their services come with a kind of built-in higher trust level, which is a big advantage, especially in markets that might be catching up on regulation. It sort of future-proofs things.
64% international, that's quite dominant. And what about the types of products driving this revenue? Is it balanced?
It seems pretty balanced strategically. Their cybersecurity solutions make up the larger chunk, about 64% of that enterprise revenue. And the remaining 36% comes from their paperless solutions, which is mainly their e-signature platform, eSign. This split is, well, it's smart. It positions them right at the intersection of two huge trends. First, the massive ongoing need for better cybersecurity as threats get more complex. And second, the big push everywhere for efficiency, for legally sound digital processes, going paperless. They're tackling some fundamental business challenges.
Okay, and if we break it down by who's buying, which sectors? You mentioned BFSI banking, financial services, insurance is big for them.
Exactly. BFSI accounts for 45% of their enterprise revenue. Then you have general enterprise clients at 37% and government work making up the final 18%.
So think about your own life, right? When you're applying for a loan online, or maybe dealing with a government agency through their website, how does eMudhra working with these sectors actually make a difference for you?
It has a direct impact, actually. When they secure processes for banks, it means your loan application or opening that new account can happen faster, more smoothly, and crucially, much more securely. Verified digital identities, secure signatures, that sort of thing. Same with government services. If they help build more efficient, secure e-governance platforms, it just makes your interactions paying taxes, getting licenses, whatever it might be. It makes them easier, quicker, and more trustworthy. It reduces the hassle and boosts security for things that matter to you.
Right. And how are they reaching all these different clients? Is it mostly direct sales, or do they use partners?
It's a bit of a mix. For enterprise revenue, 62% is through their own direct sales teams. That usually means closer ties with the big clients. And the other 38% comes through partners, which helps them reach more customers, maybe in specific niches or regions.
Okay, numbers and splits are one thing, but concrete examples really bring it home. Can you share some recent project wins? What have they actually been doing?
Sure. They've had some interesting ones lately. For instance, they did a managed PKI TLS implementation for a big global consumer goods company based in North America. That's about securing their internal communications and overall digital infrastructure. PKI, public key infrastructure, it's the system behind secure connections, like the little padlock you see in your browser using TLS. They also set up certificate lifecycle management for a major bank over in the UAE. That helps the bank handle all its digital certificates efficiently. On the government side, they rolled out an identity and access management platform for a tax authority in Asia. That's key for securely managing who gets access to what, especially with lots of users.
And in India.
Yeah, domestically, they keep winning clients in the banking and financial sector. They're using their eSigner, eSign, and e-stamping tools to really push paperless processes for things like loans and customer onboarding. Imagine how much faster getting a loan could be for you without all the physical paperwork. They also did a project for a wing of the Indian Defense Forces, using their MCA platform for secure authentication and encrypted communication. Very sensitive stuff. And one more, they implemented an e-signature workflow for a big e-government platform in the Asia-Pacific region dealing with health records. Again, efficiency and security for really sensitive data. It shows their breadth.
Okay, so strong results, some really significant projects. But the future isn't just about today's wins. It's about where a company plants its flags next. Let's talk strategy. What are the big moves eMudhra is making to shape its future?
Well, one of the biggest recent moves is definitely the acquisition of Cryptus International. That's a European company based in Vienna, Austria, focused on encryption and trust services. Technically, it was their subsidiary, eMudhra BY, that acquired a 51% stake back on June 27th, 2025. This is strategically huge. It gives them a solid foothold right in the heart of Europe, the DACH region, so Austria, Germany, Switzerland. It lets them tap into a really mature digital trust market and, crucially, bring that European-grade know-how, that compliance expertise, back into their offerings for other parts of the world, setting a higher standard globally. They paid about 5 million euros up front, and there's an option to buy the rest between 2028 and 2030.
A major step into Europe. Are they making similar moves elsewhere, say North America?
Yes, they are. They've signed an agreement to acquire a company called AI Cyberforge in North America. This company specializes in secure credential management, vault, and secrets engine. Fancy terms, but basically it's about managing sensitive digital keys and credentials very securely. The idea here is to make eMudhra's own product suite even more comprehensive, especially where data privacy and identity management overlap. It gives them some potentially quite unique capabilities in that space.
Interesting. Any other strategic highlights? Partnerships? New markets?
Yeah, a few others. They've partnered up with Lanka Pay in Sri Lanka and another company, Pacific Technology, in Nepal. That's about getting their trust services and paperless solutions into those markets. They've also set up a direct presence in Central Asia, starting with Kazakhstan, so expanding their geographic reach. And something quite fundamental, they achieved Web Trust accreditation as a public CA. That's a big deal. It's a tough audit standard, and it means their digital certificates, the ones used for secure websites, TLS, and digital signatures, are recognized and trusted by browsers and systems globally. It's like a global stamp of approval, essential for the trust infrastructure that keeps your online activity secure.
Good. These are definitely bold strategic plays. Buying into Europe, targeting North American tech, expanding regionally. But acquisitions always have integration risks, right? What do you see as maybe the biggest hurdle for them in making these moves really pay off? And how does that affect, the services you and I might end up using?
That's spot on. Integration is always the challenge, especially across borders. You've got different technologies, different company cultures, different ways of working. Making sure Cryptos' European compliance smarts get smoothly woven into eMudhra's global platform, or that AI Cyberforge's tech truly enhances their existing identity tools without causing disruption. That takes careful management. If they pull it off well, then for you, the end user, it should mean even stronger, more reliable, more globally compliant services down the line. The potential synergy is definitely there. If they stumble on integration, well, you might see some delays in new features, perhaps some bumps in the road initially, but given their experience, they seem pretty focused on making it work.
We've covered the financials, the strategy. Let's get down to the tech itself. At its core, what is eMudhra? What's their basic identity, and what problems are they solving with their technology?
Fundamentally, eMudhra is a global trust service provider. Think of them as a digital identity gatekeeper. They're actually the biggest certifying authority in India. A CA is like a trusted third party that issues digital certificates, the things that verify if a website is legitimate or if a digital signature really belongs to someone, like a digital passport issuer, basically. And they're not just doing this in a vacuum. They're involved in setting the rules globally. They're on the board of the Cloud Signature Consortium. They chair the Asia PKI Consortium, and they're part of the CA Browser Forum. They help shape the standards that underpin your secure online world.
Okay, a trusted identity provider. How does that translate into tackling cybersecurity? What's their approach?
Their cybersecurity philosophy revolves around zero trust. It's a popular concept now, but the idea is simple. Don't automatically trust anyone or anything inside or outside your network. Verify everything. They aim to unify the identity of the user with the identity of the device they're using. This bridges the gap between just letting someone in, access, and securing the actual data. They have core platforms for this. SecurePass handles identity for citizens, customers, employees. It covers things like verifying who you are initially, issuing digital IDs, even things like e-passports, managing access, and ensuring compliance. Then there's CertainNext, which focuses on devices, managing digital certificates for laptops, servers, IoT devices, making sure they are who they say they are. And the scale is significant. They mention large government and banking systems with over 100 million users relying on their platforms. That's securing a lot of identities.
You mentioned they're also working on future-ready tech like post-quantum cryptography and fully homomorphic encryption. Those sound
They do sound futuristic, don't they? But they're tackling real emerging threats. Post-quantum cryptography, or PQC, is all about creating encryption methods that even a powerful future quantum computer couldn't break. It's about future-proofing the security of your data against threats that don't fully exist yet. And fully homomorphic encryption, FHE, is really fascinating. It allows you to perform calculations on data while it's still encrypted.
without decrypting it first.
Exactly. Imagine cloud services being able to process your sensitive data like health or financial info without ever needing to see the raw, unencrypted information. That's a massive leap for privacy. These aren't widely deployed everywhere today, but eMudhra investing in them shows they're looking ahead, preparing for the next generation of security and privacy needs that will absolutely affect you.
Okay, wow. So how close are these technologies, PQC and FHE, to actually being used? When might they start impacting the security you experience day to day?
It's still early days for widespread use, especially FHE. PQC is further along. Global standards bodies, like NIST in the US, are actively finalizing standards for PQC algorithms. We'll probably see a wider adoption start rolling out over the next, say, 5 to 10 years as the potential threat from quantum computers gets closer. FHE is probably a bit further out for mainstream commercial use, but the potential, particularly for privacy and cloud computing, is huge. So for you, the impact won't be overnight. It'll be a gradual strengthening of the security foundations online. Your data will be protected by encryption that's resistant to future attacks, and you might be able to use cloud services with much greater confidence in your privacy. eMudhra being involved early means they'll likely be among the first to offer solutions built on these.
Got it. So beyond the high-tech cybersecurity, they're also big in paperless transformation you mentioned, with e-signatures.
Yes, absolutely. Their platform, eSigner, is a major part of their business. It's designed for companies, especially in regulated sectors like banking, to manage electronic signatures across the whole organization. Think about all the places you still sign paper. Opening accounts, loan agreements, HR documents, contracts, purchase orders. eSigner helps digitize all of that. Crucially, it supports verified identities and qualified electronic signatures, or QES. Under EU law, QES is the highest standard and is legally equivalent to a handwritten signature. So when you sign something digitally using a system like this, it carries real legal weight, providing non-repudiation, meaning you can't easily deny you signed it. That gives both you and the business confidence. It also handles complex approval workflows and can be deployed on-premise or in a private cloud if a company needs to keep data within certain borders, which is often a requirement for banks or governments.
Okay, so with all these capabilities, both cybersecurity and paperless, what's really driving the demand right now? Why do companies need this stuff so urgently?
There are some powerful forces at play. First, the obvious one. Cyber threats and data breaches are constantly increasing, getting more sophisticated, and costing businesses a fortune to fix. That pushes demand for better security. Second, regulations are getting tighter. Things like GDPR are well known, but even technical standards, like the requirement for websites to renew their security certificates, TLS certs, much more frequently now, down to 47 days in some cases, forces automation. You can't manage that manually anymore. This affects the security of basically every website you visit. Third, data privacy rules are popping up everywhere, with big fines for getting it wrong. This makes strong identity management essential. And finally, looking ahead, there's the potential disruption from things like quantum computing, which could break current encryption, and generative AI, which could be used for incredibly convincing identity theft or phishing scams. Companies need solutions that anticipate these future threats to protect you.
It really sounds like they need to stay ahead of the curve constantly. How are they doing that? What's their focus in R&D, their roadmap?
They seem very focused on R&D, specifically around what they call converged identity, bringing user and device identity together, data privacy tech, and also integrating generative AI. They're not just thinking about AI as a threat, but how to use it defensively. For example, using AI for smarter risk scoring, figuring out if a login attempt seems suspicious based on behavior, or using natural language so you can maybe just tell the system what you need, making it easier to use. AI for better reporting too. And that planned acquisition of AI Cyberforge we talked about, that slots right into this vision. It's about getting deeper capabilities in managing those critical digital credentials securely, preparing for that more complex future. So yeah, their R&D seems directly aimed at tackling the biggest emerging challenges, which ultimately benefits you by aiming for safer, smoother online experiences down the road.
So wrapping this up, what's the big picture for you, the listener? We've seen eMudhra is doing well financially, they're expanding globally with some bold moves, and they're innovating right at the cutting edge of digital trust and cybersecurity. It feels like they're not just responding to change, they're trying to actively shape how secure digital interactions work, the kind you rely on every day. It leaves you thinking, doesn't it? With digital transformation moving so fast and cyber threats getting smarter all the time, how do companies like eMudhra keep innovating quickly enough? How do they ensure that you and the businesses you deal with stay safe and efficient online? And maybe, what's the next big thing in digital trust? What comes after what we've even talked about today? Something to ponder.